And this is the card is going to change. I am your moderator of shorts, Dylan Swoggle Postel, I guess. Steve Guy isn't here, thankfully. I am sitting here.
Did you pay that $100 to replace him on Patreon?
No. I am sitting here with AIW owner Jonathan Thorne.
Not Jonathan.
And our special guest, our guest, Maxwell Jacob Feinstein, MJF.
Nope. It's Friedman. It's Friedman.
Maxwell Jacob.
Nope. Not Macus. It's Maxwell. Jacob. Friedman.
MJF.
There we go.
One of the newest signings to AEW. We can tell by the jacket he is wearing.
Oh yeah, brother.
The
going
buzz,
everywhere.
The buzz is real.
He's a regular Tim Riggins with his Letterman's jacket.
He is one of them. Everyone wants to be one of them these days.
One of us,
He's
dude.
one of them.
A lot of us talk.
Hi, Max.
What's going on, buddy?
I don't really know what I'm doing. We're sitting here
in this kitchen,
like in a really cold.
It's real cold.
Really cold kitchen.
This building is weird. I think they only figured out a way to have heat on in the show space.
Just the show space.
We're in Parma, Ohio, which again I asked Jonathan. I said, "Hey, how far is Parma?" And he goes, 5 minutes. And I go, "Oh, okay." I always think it's a completely different city.
No, it's not. There's
super
a lot
close to Cleveland. Yeah.
There's a lot of suburbs in Cleveland is broken off into a lot of suburbs.
John had a lot of he was telling me a lot of facts today.
It's the largest suburb in the Cleveland area.
Yeah, he did that. He wanted one of these days he's going to take me to the zoo with his zoo pass. We always talk about that.
Well, we could have went today,
but I never want to fly in early because I enjoyed spending time with my kid, and John always wants to take me away from my son.
It's dark, man. It's real dark.
Oh my God.
You asked me to fly in early, did you not?
Well, you used to fly in early when you would have slumber parties with Steve Guy all the time. And
Whoa. Can you elaborate on that?
He wanted to fly me in early today, and you wanted to take time away from me and my son.
Well, that's because we were supposed to film a bunch of vignettes for your social media.
Yeah, by the way, when are we doing these? We got 2 to go.
Well, we'll get them done. Don't worry.
We have 2 more to go.
What are these vignettes?
Well, I don't know. Oh, you probably can't do anything at Mania Week anymore because you're one of them.
I'll be there. Don't you? I'm actually going to be on the AIW show.
Yeah, he's on it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yes, you... hold on. We got to talk about me first.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm doing a big Swoggle Death Tour, essentially, and I'm doing vignettes for the collective. So I called out Nick Gage, called out Scotty Steiner, and I called out Sexy Eddie. We filmed.
You called out Sexy Eddie?
Yeah, we filmed.
I love that. That's the one I pop for the most.
Yeah,
out of the
we
three.
filmed in Jonathan Thorne's bathtub.
Yeah, we did a whole bathtub wine candle setup.
All right.
Yeah, I was in a bathrobe. I specifically moved the bubbles above my penis.
Good.
Yeah,
we don't want anybody to.
I kept saying to him, I said, "Just might be a bad shot here."
It was very. It was.
He goes. He proceeds. I said, "All right, just gonna get naked and get in the tub." He goes, and he just goes, and I go, "Well, did you not think I was?"
That was really his laugh. Yeah.
I didn't think. I was like, "You want the basketball shorts?"
And he goes. I said, "Did you think I was gonna wear my jeans in the water?"
Yeah.
Do you want basketball shorts? I said, Goldust never wore basketball shorts when he did these kind of vignettes.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And I worked with him when I worked for Vince Jr. in New York for 10 years.
Circumcised or uncircumcised?
Me?
People need to know. Yeah.
That's real weird.
People need to know. The listeners need to know.
Circumcised, of course. Yes. What, my people can't be circumcised?
People from Wisconsin? No.
That's not what we're talking about here. 7-Year Itch is today. We were watching a Billy Kidman seminar. Very, very good Billy Kidman seminar. How happy are you with bringing Billy Kidman?
He's been great. He's been great so far today. I mean,
awesome.
You get we experience a lot of horror stories with guys, but Billy Kidman was just like awesome. Like
he sped into the parking lot. He's a very fast, crazy driver.
Yeah, he came.
Sped into the parking lot.
Not only did he speed into the parking lot, he walked into the building with a towel over his shoulder like a coach.
That's really cool.
It was literally like he learned how to walk into a building from Arn.
Yeah. Was there any particular gems you heard that were like took you aback? You're like, I never thought of that.
So the one big thing that he said is, people were asking a lot of questions, and he said, guys that want to get all their shit in is mid-card shit, punches is top guy stuff.
Oh, yeah,
and
man.
I was like, wow, that is like
I was just
that should be a T-shirt.
yeah. He said it's, you won't if you don't have a good punch, you aren't going to make it very far.
Yeah.
Which that was awesome to me. That was a big thing.
And
to
that's
me.
he went into the top guy shit stuff.
Yeah. I was co-coaching.
While you're playing your Nintendo.
I was playing Mario Party and co-coaching. I was keeping an eye on the kids. As you could probably hear in the background, there's now matches going on where Billy Kidman asked, "You guys want to like do anything physical? Any matches?" And no one really raised their hand.
Crazy, dude. Nobody wants to get signed, bro.
And I heard
MJF says
a birdie told me.
A cat.
A birdie told me. I guess no one wants to get signed.
I think it was a cat.
It was a cat.
It was a cat.
It's a little kitty cat.
This cat is actually useful.
Dude, here's a fucking legend. And literally, like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyone want to wrestle? Forget about drills. Anyone want to wrestle? Wink, wink. And everyone's like,
and
silence.
He openly said, like, I don't like drills. I want to see matches.
yeah. He was like, literally, like, as much as like spoon feeding as you possibly can do.
But I also he was saying so much knowledge, just vocally.
Stuff that you like.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear on the indies.
Oh yeah.
It was, and some of these guys, I don't, you never want it to be like this almost paying for a live shoot interview, but also with that, he was saying so much knowledge. I almost didn't want these guys to do this because now they're taking time away from it.
Okay.
That was my thing. I
feel that.
Yeah. Because now only certain guys are going to learn from this.
Yeah.
Only the guys that are doing the matches are going to learn from it.
Yeah. Well, do you think there's going to be time for everybody to hop in there?
There's
or no
still
way?
2 more.
Yeah, I mean, we got time before the show, but let's kind of move on to MJF.
This is the MJF show.
Well, I don't know how many more of these he's going to be allowed to do before I got to speak to the publicity department.
All right. Give us some dirt on the pool party. Good. Hey,
dirt?
what do you say? What do you always say to me?
What's that?
Hey, let's get to the heart of the matter on this pool party.
Let's get to the heart of the matter.
The heart of the matter?
Yeah.
Oh, the press conference?
Yeah.
He wasn't at that.
There was no, I did both of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get to the heart of the matter.
It was
Babes?
Okay, so hold
a
on.
lot of hot babes.
Is there a lot of hot babes?
We'll circle up to his current.
I'm sorry. Are you Steve Guy in this or am I?
Well,
Who's Steve Guy?
Steve Guy's the ring announcer.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
so
I wish I didn't know him.
I guess
I think I'm crashing at his house tonight. Honestly.
I'm sorry.
I want to.
He's king.
Am I in trouble? Is Steve Guy a touchy-feely guy?
One night, he sometimes Swoggle does wake up and he's laying next to him and he says, "I just want to sleep next to my buddy."
It's not a false statement.
Isn't he married? He's married. Steve Guy's married.
He has
With a doctor wife.
He has a girlfriend.
Right?
She's not a doctor.
Is she like a doctor or a lawyer? She's the one that's making. She's racking in the bucks. That's all I know.
He has a girlfriend.
Because I was having a real good time. It was me, Eddie Kingston, and Mance Warner, and we were having a real good time.
A couple shows ago, this was.
And yes, and we went over to his house, and I was like, why does Steve Guy have this gigantic house? Like, it made no sense to me.
It's a rental.
And he admitted that he's not paying for that place, man. No way.
This is MJF is a guy that he was one of the send me messages every day guy. I want to get booked.
Oh.
When he was Feinstein.
Yes.
I don't know
Feinstein.
who that is.
I loved it.
Maxwell.
I made me so happy.
Maxwell Feinstein.
One of the biggest ribs ever in wrestling.
And when Biggins was still alive, he said, "We're not booking this guy. He's named Feinstein. What happens if somebody Googles Feinstein?" And that's a whole can of worms. But I just
Do you want to know the story behind that name? Or
Yes.
Okay. So it was name day at Creative Pro, and Kurt Hawkins sitting behind the desk, and I walk in the room, and I'm all excited. And I'm like, my name should be Maxwell Tyler Friedman. It's my name anyway. It's like super douchey. Do it up, right? And he's like,
Oh.
I don't think he can say that.
no? We just have to edit this whole part out. But right, it's funny, right? That really happened.
That's funny.
So I guess we'll chop that whole story out.
So yeah, for you listeners that didn't probably get
to hear what I said.
the story.
Some things aren't for public consumption.
Kurt Hawkins changed his name.
Yeah, to Feinstein. And then I said, that's a cool name. And he giggled because I did not know
Oh yeah.
the story.
Oh yeah, because you're not a wrestling fan.
That's not true. That's not accurate.
Go ahead.
I did not know the story. So I went on with that name for a while until Tommy Dreamer, of all people, was the one that clued me in. So
So Mr. Feinstein used to send me a lot of Facebook messages, and
What were they?
I mean, like, hey man, I'd love to, like, you book
Love to
me,
be
copy paste. Book
You're
me
doing a
stuff.
lot of cool things.
I'd love
to be a part of it.
I'd love to be there. I'd love to. Let's
A lot of buzz.
Let's do business, brother. Like stuff like that. Like, I'd love to do business with you someday. And
Oh yeah, dude.
I just I left a lot of them in that the Facebook filter area, but
Where you
still
have to accept it.
Yeah. So I was trying to not to accept it.
I think he just felt bad because he knew I was one of Brian's students.
and then
100%.
like maybe
100%.
yeah.
and then at WrestleCon 2 years ago, this guy's just fucking slumming around the AIW table all day, and I'm like, this is that fucking guy.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the guy that sends me
What
the
were you
messages.
doing? Just hanging out?
Well, I've always been a fan of AIW.
So he's just trying
that's
to.
a shoot. So
He was trying to figure out a way to break the ice.
So you're
you
just
know?
hanging out by the table?
yeah. I just didn't know how to start the conversation. I was super nervous.
And then, like, finally, like, because people have been feeding me drinks there all day. Finally, I was like, hey, man.
he did. He started the conversation.
I was like, if you just keep doing what you're doing, I'm gonna have no choice but to book you. But like,
That's my favorite response because that's the copy and paste response.
is that what ACW Wisconsin? Is that a?
No, I just don't. I'll be honest. It's either a non-answer or a hey man, we're booked solid.
well,
solid, brother.
it's not really copy and paste answer because like a lot of people I don't even want to say that to, but. Because most people aren't doing what he was doing. So a lot of people are just like, hey, standing around in like fucking
One
pajama pants. And they're like, hey, I'd love to be here. And I'm just like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. But he had at least started doing shows and was starting to travel a lot. And you were seeing his name on more shows. And what I told him is, if you keep doing that and you keep building a name up, I'm going to have no choice as a promoter but to eventually bring you in because you are going to be you're a guy that is cultivating an audience for better or for
If you
worse.
get enough buzz,
Right.
there's no.
Yeah, if you get
no choice.
if a wrestler gets enough buzz, promoters have no choice but
And
to book them.
at that point, I was doing okay in the Northeast.
Yeah, like he was traveling a little bit. So like he wasn't like a top indie guy, but he was a guy that was like moving his way around to where you don't see a lot of the traveling guys anymore. And he was a name that was popping up on more shows than just like one show. So that's kind of where we left it. And then I went and got a picture with Marty Jannetty because I was drunk. And that's how I got out of the conversation. And Marty Jannetty some girls were trying to get Marty Jannetty to go into the Shawn Michaels autograph room. And I was observing that. And he's like, I don't know if fucking Shawn wants to see me, lady.
And then you just booked MJF.
Well,
Ish. So I got booked I knew I was supposed to be doing WWE extra work. And I knew that was going to be one of those ones where they actually let you wrestle in the ring. So they'd have a shot to like look at you and see you, whatever. And then that same exact week that Hawkins hit me up, Dom hit me up and was like, hey, Thorne wants to book you for one of our smaller bar shows. If you do well, you might be used regularly.
this is probably the dumbest decision you ever made. Probably.
So I called up Hawkins and respectively said I didn't want to do the extra work. And I drove 8 hours here, and I made my debut for AIW.
Idiot.
Isn't that great? Like talk about forcing my hand to book somebody,
Wanted
right?
it, man. Wanted it.
Like how could you not book a guy after that?
100%. I fully agree that
I personally was like, you should probably do the extra work,
remember,
man.
yeah.
Like you should do that extra work. And Hawkins was like, I'm offering this guy it was a 5-day loop. It was like a pay-per-view,
Yeah.
a SmackDown,
Would've been good
a
money.
house
It
show.
really would've been
Like
good money.
it was like I think there was a house show mixed in. It wasn't like a 2-dayer. It was like a 4-day SummerSlam loop or something, like something crazy. And because it was like NXT, SummerSlam, Raw, SmackDown.
You're an idiot.
But the way I looked at it was I can go over there, hope somebody sees me and notices me, and maybe I'll get a tryout, right? Or I can continue to try to cultivate buzz and get to work for a company I wanted to work for a very long time.
That's very. I mean, it's extremely respectable, but it's really dumb.
Yeah.
I feel because
you never know there. You know?
Yeah, that.
Sure.
You could have broke your neck here.
Sure, 100%.
And not been able.
Who
to
did
do
you
it
wrestle,
finally.
Dom?
I wrestled Dom. We had a really fucking fun match, actually. I remember that match being really fun.
Was I on the show?
No.
No,
It was me, Kiku, right? Dick Justice.
I don't even remember.
I wouldn't have watched
honestly.
it anyways.
You wouldn't watch it. It was at that Tequila Jack's.
Oh yeah, you never brought me there.
It's we don't have any dates there. It's just too far out. But at that point, it was a place to where we could try guys out and do different things. So and Dom, to his credit, pushed hard for MJ.
Dom is,
yeah.
you know what?
Really did.
You know what? Here's the thing about Dom is I give him a lot of hell. I call him the Dom Sapolsky and all that, but Dom is very good at.
He tries to get opportunities for people.
Yeah, and he's very good at putting his name out there for guys and cluing you in as to, hey,
because he knows he kind of has my ear on things because I don't watch indie wrestling anymore.
It's
like,
hard to pay attention. There's so much.
and like there's so
never
many.
been more.
and
He's in.
Thorne's caught up on Uncle Meltzer reports.
Oh, okay.
You know, I listen to Meltzer now, and that's
He's
about
caught
it.
up on that. He doesn't care about indie stuff. He cares about that and Twitter buzz.
Melt's dog and
You
Twitter
got to get
buzz.
Twitter buzz, yeah. You know, and honestly, it's like AIW is kind of it's not growing at a rate, but I've taken on more responsibilities recently. You know, in the last couple of years, so it's like, how do you have time to sit and watch? You know, fucking Supgraps or
Yeah.
you know any of these other companies. Like, there's so many new companies now, and Dom Dom is in the middle of it all.
Yeah, and there's so many guys out, like, and you can't. For example, ACW back home, we've had the same core roster for 5 years, and
See, I don't like that.
I don't like it.
I think turnover is
it's
good.
finally becoming a thing where we all kind of sat back and go, "Hey, we need to push a couple guys out, use a couple guys, see if these guys are missed, give these guys because it's going to be stagnant."
We're in the territory system again. At least that's how I look at it.
It is kind of like the territory system.
Back home, it's not.
Well, and
No,
like
it isn't.
So
It's literally just us.
not to get like even more inside baseball, but you know, like not even a copy and paste response to people, but there's guys that are great, but you just can't bring them in. And I've been telling a lot of people, I said, you know, I know you want to work for all these companies that you've heard of, but I really think that wrestling, independent wrestling specifically, is going to get more regionalized because there's been such a high turnover on signings that it's going to become more of like about who you can build on in your core area. And there's, you know, maybe you get like one of these guys to come in every now and then, just like the territories used to be. You know, maybe Ric Flair comes to town once a year or whatever, you know, whatever the fuck. But, you know, it's changing so much. And I actually I like now when somebody's like, oh, I'm getting signed or I'm getting a contract, because it's like, okay, I have fucking 13 students sitting on the bench over there. You know, like, now I can slide fucking Twan Tucker into a match or something. You know,
Against me.
well, it's a big test for old Tweezy tonight.
For who?
For Twan.
A big test for Twan.
Yeah,
That is on. For him?
you did 6 WrestleManias, man. Like
6, dude. Count them, 6.
All right, back to
6 times.
Back to MJF. Here's the burning question. Let's get to the heart of the matter. This. Okay, heart of the matter.
we're really cutting around on this because we're really editing this one.
Yeah,
up because
He was the first one.
Well,
you guys are.
the story was funny, and I told you it was funny, and that's why everybody in the room laughed.
He
just
was
a
the
little-
first one. He
A
said,
little inappropriate, that's all.
I'm trying to cost him his job.
Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to cost anybody their job.
So, tell us about getting the call. Who called you? How did it happen? What happened?
In regards to...
I don't know the jacket you're wearing, Mark.
Oh, okay. In regards to all...
Have you done media before? Ever?
I almost never do it out of gimmick, so I'm kind of weird.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. This is like even his like weird documentary that he had made was like all
completely in gimmick.
gimmick
Just
and weird.
answer the question.
Not that I'm not in gimmick right now. I'm just in a good
answer the
mood.
question. Yeah, you and your crappy pumps
Yeah.
and your shitty jeans.
My pumps are amazing.
Really, MJF.
You shit on everybody, man.
Dude.
Like people.
You're
man.
bitter.
He's an angry little elf.
You're bitter.
Look at his face.
Can you just answer the question?
Fine.
What happened?
What occurred was for All In.
Let's backtrack because I feel like All In was probably like
That's what did it for
like
me.
a pilot taping,
Yeah.
so to speak,
100%.
for what this became. Like,
Yeah.
how do you even get involved to that point? Because it was ROH guys and New Japan guys, and then it was like you and Matt Cross were like the guys from
The Indies.
Yeah, like,
really.
Well, he's Lucha Underground, but like you guys were the two. Like you guys were the match that everyone's like, okay, like I see, this one makes sense. This one makes sense. Like this one is kind of weird with this group of guys. How does that come to be?
They had. I'm gonna guess they had Matt Cross booked, and they go, "Who has been a Rosebud before?"
I've actually never been a Rosebud.
And Feinstein was.
He turned down the extra work.
I turned down the Rosebud
So
action.
how did All In?
I've been shoved by Samoa Joe.
So how did All In happen?
So how All In happened was Ethan Page is a part of a promotion in Canada called Alpha One, and he helped me get over there. And I had wrestled there a bunch of times, and then Alpha One had brought in Cody, and Cody got to see me wrestle. And I think based off of what he saw in Canada, we built a rapport, and oddly and sporadically and randomly, we would contact each other back and forth. And once they announced All In, I got a DM on Twitter, and he asked me if I'd want to be a part of it.
Okay, that's all you got.
So where does it go from there?
From there,
This is where you keep going.
like, what's-
it felt like
so what's media?
What's the feedback on the match?
But even before that, because they hadn't announced it, so I was getting nervous because I really wasn't aware of what I was going to do.
Okay.
For a while, until I was told about 2 or 3 months prior, and then I was like, okay, I've wrestled Matt 3 times, so I knew him. I knew what I was getting into. I knew what kind of match I was going to be having, and I just would just mentally play around with what I wanted to do in this match and what I wanted to achieve in this match. And once I got there,
Did you realize that it was like you realized it was an opportunity, but I'm sure you couldn't have dreamed what
I
it
understood the
turned out to.
magnitude of that night. I
Yeah.
did not understand the magnitude of what it would lead to, not in the slightest.
Right.
I just looked at it as this is a tryout, not for AEW.
Just for the world, basically.
It was for
Hold
the
on.
world.
Hold on. This isn't a visual podcast, so
Sure.
for the listeners at home, he said AEW proceeded to point to the jacket he's wearing.
Yeah.
Again, going.
Yeah.
You know,
I gesticulate a lot when I talk. I use my hands a lot. It's a New York thing.
Swaggle's just so
It's a
bitter.
New York thing, man.
I'm not bitter
He's
at
a
all.
bitter old man.
I don't like him.
He's grizzled at least. At the very least, you're grizzled.
So once I got there, I knew my game plan, but once I walked inside that stadium, I was like, oh, okay. And I'm looking around, I'm like, you mean like all these seats are going to be filled? And I had to like internally like try not to have a mental breakdown. Like, you know what? Like you've worked all the quote unquote top independents. You have enough seasoning. There's a reason why you got here, Max. So just calm down and do what you do best and just perform, right? And
Do you think, I mean, not to cut you off, but
Sure.
do you think a lot of that is because Kurt Hawkins trained you to be prepared for certain things and
holy
trained you
shit.
a certain way?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I am not the best person to ask because I'm going to be a bit biased, but I think he's like the best mind, or one of the best minds in wrestling.
I think Kurt Hawkins gets a bad rap with fans because they don't really appreciate the things that he is just incredibly indescribably good at.
Sure.
To where it's stuff that he never tries to get himself over. He always tries to get everybody over.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of to his detriment to an extent because he's so worried about.
But at the same time,
being
that's
good.
kept him a job because almost nobody else in our generation is capable of doing what he does.
Exactly. But, it just kind of sucks on the other end of his career that he's, not where I feel, and people that know him and know how good he is, he deserves way, way, way more.
He is somebody that could make anybody look like a superstar.
And do you think that he kind of instilled that mentality in you a little bit?
I would go to these shows and I wouldn't say anything out loud, but I would watch matches and I'd be like, I don't get it. There's nothing happening but like bullshit. It's just a ton of bullshit. Bell to bell, just kicky do's and flippy do's and like nothing's happening for any rhyme or reason. Nobody's getting better or looking better out of it.
Right.
No story's been told. Nothing has benefited. The second bell rings, match is over.
And I think that's kind of what led to some of your success, because you would do like a bunch of little things and then you do an eye poke and you got this eye poke thing over, and then it just you brought so much of like people probably don't associate you with old school like traditional wrestling, but that's really I think what got you over, and that leads you to this all in show, and so we're there, and you're getting prepared for the match. What is there nerves?
Oh my God, I was shitting myself. I was freaking out, and it was funny because I was not calm at all, and I walked up to Cody. And I said, "Hey man, is there anything in particular you want from this match? Like, if there's anything that you feel that you want me to get out of it, let me know." And he just like cut me off, and he was like, "You're here for a reason," and he walked away. And I was like, "Okay," that didn't calm me down 100%, but it definitely calmed me down a little bit.
Sometimes I do think people need to hear that, because there are guys that are obsessive about feedback and what did I do wrong and how can I improve, and sometimes it's just like, if you're a booker of something or a promoter, it's like you're booked for a reason.
Yeah.
It's like
I wouldn't put shit out there that unless
right. It's like I'm not just being like, oh hey dude,
Have fun shitting in my ring
around the fucking corner. Go out there and have a blast, bro. It's sometimes professional wrestlers forget that they are professional wrestlers.
Yeah.
And
you're a star, dude. Act like one.
You're there for a reason. No matter what the show is, somebody decided, hey, I want to give you money to be here.
Yep.
And sometimes I think wrestlers need to realize that, and then
I'll watch matches, especially on the independents, where I'll be seeing wrestlers they're not even wrestling for the crowd.
Yeah, they just wrestle for themselves.
That
or the
promoter.
Yeah.
And you will literally be seeing them. They'll do something and
look at the
instantly they'll
promoter.
pop up. And they'll go check out if is the promoter watching.
See
what I just do.
Here, people don't wrestle for the promoter; they wrestle for Big Twan, and they look for Big Twan.
Oh God, yeah. You want that Big Twan pop, man?
Yeah, if you get the Big Twan pop, that's like, you made it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
So you have the match. It goes well.
Yeah. The second I went through the curtain, at the beginning, I was so nervous. I was like, okay, are these people going to know what I like, who I am?
Right.
Because I've been doing good on the indies, but the indies is the indies. At the end of the day, the indies
12,000 people. That could be
Yes.
every indie fan on earth.
The second my music hit, everyone loudly fucking booed. Like loud, and I was like, all right, I can work with this.
Right.
And I instantly I went from oh fuck to like fucking
Felt comfortable.
yes. And I went out there and I loved every minute of it, and I milked every minute of it, and we got to the back, and right away I was greeted with holy fuck, that was dude, that's how we start the show. Hell yeah. I have fucking Tully Blanchard, a guy whose tape I've studied like endlessly until my eyes have bled, walk up to me like that's heel work, like that. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool.
So it's like it was moments like that. And there was a lot of moments like that. They were just really cool because there were so many people in the industry there. Because this was one of the biggest shows and I don't think this is an overstatement. This is one of the biggest shows in the history of our industry, considering what time frame it was done in
and what comes out of it.
Yes,
it's a very, it's a very kind of historic event.
And if you look around, I mean, every who's who in our industry was,
and especially with how kind of A, B, C, D wrestling has gotten in the last 20 or so years. Like, this is definitely like, you felt a pivot. You didn't know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody at least felt that there's a pivot and the industry is going to swing one way or the other. It's either going to go, hard to how things have been, or it's going to, creak a door open a little bit,
Yeah.
but like everyone's kind of like paying attention to see how this whole thing came
how's
about.
it going to pan out? What's going to happen next?
Right.
Which is great for wrestling.
And I guess, let's get into next, how, I don't know how many months later it could have,
it happened.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you signed another contract in the meantime.
Yeah, I did. Openly, I'll say I I signed it without really even thinking about it. And I'm very happy at MLW now. Allow me to say that. I get compensated properly. I get treated properly. I'm used properly. But when I got there, they understood they had a 19-year-old kid who had a lot of potential. So they threw a contract in front of him. Here, hey, we got TV.
Right.
Obviously,
everybody's going to sign it, especially at that time.
Yes.
There's been no pivot in the industry.
I didn't even think for a second. I went whoop, 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 signed it, put the paper back in his hand.
Just like when I signed with the Urban Wrestling Federation, brother.
The what?
With the Urban Wrestling Federation, brother.
I don't know that.
Well, I can't talk about it. I had to sign a non-disclosure.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Oh, wow.
Might have expired by now. We'll see.
So, yeah, I signed that, and I was doing good there. And then I was told that there was interest from
People,
people in the place where Swoggle might have worked 6 times for one of those big, and I was like intrigued with that. But I was also told that they were very much so afraid to touch me because of the MLW contract.
Right.
So I was like, well, guess I'm going to have to wait this one out for a while.
Yeah, because you'd signed for a while.
Yeah. And then out comes this All Elite Wrestling thing. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I was just a part of All In. Maybe something will happen. But internally, I was like, don't get your hopes up. Who the fuck would touch you? If that other company's not going to touch you because of this
Right.
MLW contract, why the fuck, right? And I got a text from Cody, and he was like, hey, there's somebody that I want you to talk to. And I was on the phone with somebody for an hour and a half who is now my boss in TodyCon. And we talked, and like we just got a feel for each other. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this is crazy. Like, we were just shooting the shit, like two like normal regular dudes. And at the end of the conversation, it was, I heard about that MLW thing. I really don't care. We're a big fan of your work, and we want you anyway. And I was like, who? You know what I mean? And how
does that work? Do they just work out an agreement or something?
So I have to do. I did sign a non-disclosure, so I can't really go into it. But what it just was we're interested in you. Are you interested in us? Yes. I was explained what the deal was, and I went, that sounds favorable.
Right.
And I went there, and there was also the constant fear of they're just going to change their mind. They're going to change their literally every day that the contract wasn't sent to me. In my head, I was like, it's over. They realize that it's the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
And is MLW cool at that point?
Now they're super fucking cool with it because now Court Bauer gets to have this hot new signee
crossover on his show.
And I think that's a smart way to look at it. I think that's good business.
It's cross promotion.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know that you were a guy that was keeping it very, very, very under wraps.
Big time.
And I walk up to you at an AIW after party, and I say, "Hey, man, I heard you're on your way to Jacksonville soon." And you look like you turned white.
Oh yeah,
you were
petrified.
Terrified.
Who told you that? Who told you that?
And I said, "Well." I just heard some things.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And I just had to keep kayfabing it.
And you were like kayfabing it, but like
even though I knew deep down we were sharing a moment there, but I couldn't.
The color just like it was so funny because like you had no poker face at that point. You tried so hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I hear some things, and I hope you do it right. If you're happen to be on a flight to Jacksonville in the next couple of weeks, and
that did mean a lot to me.
You were
to me,
just
that
like
meant I had people in my corner.
You were just like, I'll never forget that though. Like you were just sitting at this table with Mance Warner, drinking some beers, and like I just like whisper something to you, and you just look at me, and it was like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I just, I'll never forget that. I thought that was kind of a funny moment, and I did watch your press conference and things like that, and I was like, that day I'll never forget. It's reported MJF spotted lost in the parking lot of the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, and I was like, this fucking guy blew it already.
So it was the funniest thing. They were filming stuff. I don't even know what for. And they were like, hey, just walk outside. We're going to continue to film you in your suit, looking at blah, blah, blah. And I walk outside, and I go, there are fans right over. And I just instantly turned around and walked back into the building. it's almost as if the person that was recording wasn't aware that like it was everything
It was starting.
secret and it was starting and like so I just walked right back in and I was like, no way they saw me. It was like 1 second.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
it
go
was
on my phone on Twitter, I'm like, but luckily like not enough. It didn't get enough traction
To where-
that way when I came out, it was cool, man.
Yeah, it's been it's probably been a crazy couple weeks for you.
Yeah, man.
Or months at this point. Yeah.
At this point, months. So what is your mindset going forward? What do you see a year from now?
I feel right now I'm getting enough traction where I'm being looked at as one of the top guys, but I want people to, when they say my name, I want them to go, oh, this is the fucking guy. That's what I want. And I think it's attainable. I really do.
I think, I know that you get a lot of shit sometimes, but I think people are scared to say that.
Sure.
And the fact that you're not is probably half the battle of getting there, because so many people are scared of like, oh, I shouldn't say that. I don't know. And like, I think once you get past the point of worrying about what everybody over here is thinking and worrying about where you're headed and what you want to be, I think that's really half the battle. So like sitting there saying, I want to be the fucking guy. I mean, go out in that other room and go ask how many people they want to be the fucking guy.
Sure.
Not too many people are going to say it because they don't, they don't even know what that means.
And they might say it, but they don't truly they won't believe it.
Yeah.
And I think your work ethic kind of showed that, like, I mean, look, you made it far in what, 2.5 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
So, it's not like a bullshit promo.
Yeah, no, not at all. And the thing is, anyone who's been successful, especially in this industry, you need a chip on your shoulder and you need to think you're the shit. Like you look at a guy like Dylan, I would assume that most people his size would look in a mirror and be like, I can't be a professional wrestler. But Dylan was like, no, fuck you. And he went out, he did it, and he fucking creamed it and killed it. And then you got a guy, again, Hawkins. Here's this he's a child in Long Island wrestling at NYWC in a tag team with his best friend. And a tryout happens. But he had the mindset of, no, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be the standout. Gets a contract at fucking 19, 20. So you have to have that mindset in order to be successful in this business, in my opinion.
And I think that's, I think the killer instinct kind of people goes missing to an extent right now. Even Swoggle was busting my balls earlier today, but I was like, I'm just trying to get this like fucking killer instinct mode going heading into this WrestleMania weekend. He's like, what the fuck does that even mean? I was like, I'm trying to focus, man. Like, if you think it, like, I don't buy into if you think it will happen, but if you think you're gonna fucking try to make it happen.
I always go into it the opposite way. I always go into it thinking negatively. So that when it turns out well, it's like, oh fuck, this is really cool.
Everyone's got their own way, man.
Well, yeah.
And to you, I know that you and I had this conversation before, Dylan. It's like you made it, and you made it for so long, and now you're at that reinvent yourself stage, and it's hard. It's hard for you to lock into that. I'm locked in, and I'm gonna be this killer because
I didn't have to for so long.
Right, you didn't have to, and you made it, and you were there, and you were on. I don't want to say you were on easy street, but it was
100%.
like WWE is like, you go here, this is what you do. You go home. You go here, this is what you do. You go home. Here's a lot of money.
They make me the star.
Right.
I don't have to. I literally have to get on the plane.
You know what? I'd like to hear from your perspective. Would you feel there's more politicking going on at the next level, or do you feel there's more nasty politicking going on the independent level?
This
Now,
level?
Currently,
I feel
at this point
the
currently,
same
yes.
way.
At this point, currently, 10 years ago, no.
Yeah.
Currently, way more.
You think it's flip flopped because
Oh,
it
yeah.
seems like
I couldn't agree more.
Everybody that's in WWE or at this high level of wrestling, everyone is just like, it's great, everything's fun, there's no assholes, and like I think
the locker room bullies are gone.
but like
It's a fun environment.
indies are kind of like you guys probably experience it more than I would experience it.
so many stories.
Because I don't like I'm a promoter, I worry about AIW and that's it. You guys have to go all over, and
I see it just it's so cutthroat, he's kind of the shit, son. Oh yeah, he's kind of the shit. I'll come in for this instead. Hey man, you should go with this idea. I think there's a lot.
like weird manipulation.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, again, that's where I'm blind to it because I didn't deal with it in WWE.
Right. And so
And I still personally, when I go on the road, back home, I deal with it here and there, promoter-wise. But on the road, I don't deal with it because I'm coming in, I'm biting
you're
an ass.
Hornswoggle, former TV star.
I'm coming in, I'm biting an ass, I'm leaving.
But in Wisconsin, you're Dylan Postel.
I'm normal.
Yeah, you're just
normal
you're the
dude.
guy that got a shot he didn't deserve or whatever, you know.
And I'm the guy doing that did that, and now promotes and wrestles on those shows and does this. And yeah.
But
So it's-
you know, I guess this is kind of a funny story because you know, especially having both of you on right now, it's like MJF, you were a guy that figured out a way to cultivate yourself and get out to where now Swoggle is. We're like myself and Ethan Page and other people are trying to teach him like, hey, like you made it and you have this gigantic fan base that you do nothing with because you were used to just getting told what to do. So it's like now
I have a notification on my phone at noon every day that just says tweet
Yeah.
because I don't.
because he would not even think of social
So
media.
funny, man.
I never do.
Twitter, oh my God.
I never use it.
So important.
You know what? I use it for what I call the Zack Ryder-esque posts. How can I tweet this company
To get something free.
So they send me free things.
But see, like you're in that point to where you have to think about like, okay, I was in WWE for 10 years, but like, what if I'm not there for 10 more years? And now it's like, you got to figure out a way to monetize yourself off of that. And I feel like that's why so many guys get fired now from WWE, just vanish into oblivion because
That's exactly how. Yeah, because they're used to coasting.
yeah, and it's just like, you know, you have to find that killer instinct to go out and be like, no, you should book me over this guy and this guy and this guy. But you know, it's just an interesting dynamic because it's like, you know, you're both on your way up, but in different, you know, in different
sides
paths.
of the coin.
Like you're on your way up for the first time. Dylan's, you know, trying to find his way back up again for the second time, and he's getting little tastes here and there, you know. And
I'd say there's like a cool rebirth going on for you, and a lot of people are popping for the matches that are coming up for you.
Right there. I fully admit I asked Thorne, and I had Thorne literally set this Mania week up for me because of that. Because I sent him and two others a text of just being like, "Fuck, this is like depressing."
yeah, like kind of like down on yourself.
Yeah, and because I got released, and that was like that first 6 months was amazing because I was doing these indie matches and throwing Germans and doing this stuff, and it was still like hot, fiery Hornswoggle.
That's 6 months. You know, you got to worry about the next 6 years.
And I didn't. I was going to coast on that because I did that. I coasted with WWE for 10 years. And then when I'm seeing things happening around me and it's the gym class. Everyone else is getting picked for dodgeball and I'm sitting here watching.
Yep.
And I think, you know, you and I have to have these conversations. And sometimes it's hard for me to have these conversations with you because you view your career through the WWE eyes, you know, and I view it kind of from the outside to where it's like you got to realize how you can monetize yourself on this level because there's so much money to be made at this level for you. But you got to kind of go out and get it.
It is funny, isn't it? Because I'll see like these salty ex-WWE dudes. Well, why the fuck is that guy getting booked?
Right.
And I'm out here. I was on fucking TV. What the fuck is this, right? And meanwhile, if they just tried to have a little bit more of indie appeal, they'd be making just as much money
Right.
as
You got
me.
to, like, even I tell students.
Relevancy.
Yep.
And, like, even I tell students, it's like, what works in WWE doesn't necessarily work on this level, and what works at this level, you know, is not going to help you at that level. But you have to find that switch for both, you know. And for Dylan, he's slowly starting to kind of figure it out. But you know, it took a lot of conversations and like, hey man, like you have 600,000 Twitter followers, you tweet once a year, like you got to go use that shit. Like,
I don't know that. Before I got on this, the last time I used Instagram was probably 6 months ago.
right.
And it's just there's so many people that
Because
have that reach and
just like, you know, to kind of circle back, like I told, you know, MJF, if you keep doing what you're doing, I'm going to be forced to book you. If you're the only ex-WWE guy utilizing his fan base and promoting other promoters and promotions, they're going to see great value in that.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to be like, I'm bringing Hornswoggle in 3 times a year instead of once.
And it's also about re-educating the fans, because the fans on TV saw you for years as the funny little man that hid under the ring, bit asses, and ran away. And now you're out here on the indies, and they're watching you be a real wrestler.
And you're reinventing yourself.
Yes.
But you know, at that time, it's not like WWE where you're wrestling in front of 20,000 people or whatever. You got to go out and wrestle in front of 200 people, and you got to hope to retain 5 of those as fans and build it in every single city. But you know, I think the Billy Kidman seminar is wrapping up, so we should probably get this show on the road.
I don't like you. I always say I don't like you. I do. I messaged Hawkins a lot about you in the beginning, and I still do. Usually it's busting your balls, but I've also always put you over because you're a good person.
Don't tell them that.
You're a good person. And I think the buzz is going to help you. I really do. And I think that there's only up from here, obviously. No one knows what this venture is going to do a year from now, 2 years from now. But it's only up. I'm very glad it happened to one of Hawkins' kids because he's my best friend. Mm-hmm. So, but it's good. I'm very happy for you, and it's gonna be a good. But take everything with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. Everything.
You don't want to wind up like Bitter Swoggle down here. He hates
goddamn, right?
He hates
looking right in the mirror.
He hates. Yeah, you are looking at a mirror. Dude. This is you on the way down, man.
Yeah.
But
it's bitter Swoggle. It's a real thing.
It's like I said, I didn't realize until we started this. It's such an interesting dynamic because you guys are in similar positions but
it's
different
literally
positions.
Flip flop. We're the same. We're going on the same path.
Yeah.
But I have to reinvent.
Yeah.
On this level,
and he's getting signed at a young age, and like he's going up. So it's like
that's why. There's one thing I always want to do if I ever was on this podcast, because I know a lot of the students listen to it. And if there's one thing I did want to say is there's going to be a lot of backlash when you come in right away, because you're going to have to learn what's okay to do, what's not okay to do, what's okay to say, what's not okay to say. People are going to look for reasons not to like you in the first place. Right. Because unfortunately not everybody's as cool as Dylan and not everybody is understanding. So try your best. Mouth closed, ears, eyes open, peeled. And also, my other big thing that I would tell everyone is if you are, which is most people, 5'9", 5'10", with brown hair, brown eyes, and, you don't look like a mastodon, you're not going to get signed to WWE right away, and you're not going to get signed to WWE if you only work for one promotion, regardless of how well you are used.
Right.
So please, please, please figure out what companies have the buzz that we've been referring to this whole entire time. Get in your fucking car and drive there.
Or stand next to the WrestleCon table for 2 hours.
There you go.
Until they talk to you.
Until they finally talk to you.
All right, I guess we'll wrap that up. Thanks a lot. MJF, Dylan, as always.
Bye.
Bye.